And for more, we can speak to our French politics editor, Marc Perelman. Hello to you, Marc. What could happen sanctions-wise?
Well, we'll know very shortly at 2:30 Paris time. The leadership, if you will, of the National Assembly, the Speaker, there are 6 vice speakers and a few other officials will gather together to decide whether to slap any sanctions on this MP after this incident yesterday afternoon. So they could decide nothing happens to him. There could be sanctions whereby he would get a pay cut. Half of his pay would be cut for during a month, so he would get 15 days instead of 30 days. Or there could be a harsher sanction that's rarely been implemented, where he could be he would take a pay cut for 2 months, and he would be forbidden to participate in any way to the National Assembly's work for 15 days. This rarely happens, so this would be the harsher sanctions. Obviously, there are also others, including the Interior Minister this morning, who are calling on him to resign, saying what he's saying is shameful, but clearly we're seeing the national rally doesn't want to go this way. They're saying this was pure manipulation. We will not accept this. So we'll have to wait a few more hours to see what's decided by the leadership of the National Assembly.
Yeah, and the National Rally, a party that's made great efforts to try to be normalized in recent years. Does this jeopardize that strategy?
Jeopardize, I wouldn't say, but clearly this is not what Marine Le Pen wants to see from her MPs. 89 of them, many with very little experience. And so since the legislative elections, she is the head of the group, and she's really tried to make sure they work with discipline and they control everything they do and everything they say. And so saying this, whatever the interpretation is a stain on the National Rally's efforts to become more politically correct. And so this is not good news for Marine Le Pen. She'll probably try to use this to say, look, we can never be accepted. Whatever we do, whatever we say, will always be the villains because our enemies have decided to do so. What's also interesting is we're seeing the government, through the Prime Minister and so on, try to use this because we've seen the National Rally and the left vote on the motions of defiance against the government recently. And so the government will obviously use this to say, well, how can the left ally itself with the National Rally, given the rhetoric we're still seeing, despite all those years of trying to be more politically correct. So it will be very interesting to see what happens to the MP and what happens to the National Rally's behavior in the weeks to come.
All right, Marc, thank you very much. Marc Perelman, France 24's French politics editor.